Stratton. Number 2, we have 2 additions to the agenda tonight. 7B will be review and accept working waterfront preliminary engineering report. And 7C will be the Parks Commission request grant for playground equipment. So I'd accept a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Second. All in favor? 3, approve minutes from the September 9th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
All in favor? 4, approve and sign treasurer's warrants number 14.
Second.
All in favor? Number 5, communications.
I just had a letter from Maine Public asking for a $100 donation. We've gotten these requests in the past, and some boards take money out of their contingency fund, or it's up to you.
Oh, it's fine with me. Consensus?
Where is it from?
Maine Public request for a $100 donation.
You hear this one?
All in favor? Yeah. Make a motion that we approve the $100 donation.
Second.
All in favor? Anything else, Marjorie? Number 5, speakers, number 6, speakers from the floor. Seeing none, we'll go on to number 7, committee and departmental reports and appointments. Number 7A, downtown project, 10 minutes.
That long, Karen.
Oh, you're 10 minutes, bro.
I aim to be succinct. Yes, everything is moving forward. So the latest we know is that likely there will be some mobilization for the stormwater project in November sometime, with the stormwater project likely beginning in early December, with the intention, hopefully, depending on the weather, the winter, the freezing of the ground or not, to be able to work through the winter if possible, maybe taking some time off. It really just depends. So that's step 1, moving there. There'll likely be some overlap between that and the water main project in early spring. So the water main project sort of following the stormwater project, some alignment there, and then moving into hopefully parking lots and or boat ramps in the spring, early spring, then we're just continuing to move forward from there. Parking lots have not gone out to bid yet. Design is 90% there, so we're hoping to be able to bring that to you to at the next select board meeting for the final approval. I think you recall in May, you approved it sort of contingent on any new changes. So we'll just look at that again, hopefully get your final approval, then that can go out to bid. And we're also hoping to sort of reconfigure and put the water district building back out to bid before the end of the year. Our goal is to have like a clearer timeline once we will have a clearer timeline with phase 1, which again is the stormwater, water mains, roads, sidewalks. We're hoping to have that clear timeline once we have our pre-construction meeting, which will likely be sometime October, November. November. So, I don't know if there's any questions, but that's the latest. Okay. Oh, one more thing I will say is once we have a clearer timeline, we've gotten permission from Star of Hope, I think I've mentioned this before, but to put a large format print of the project components and the timeline, so folks just walking by will have a general sense of what's happening then, along with the communication that the town will continue to do in the wind, on the website, via email, and on Facebook.
Any questions? Thank you, Dave.
It's really happening.
I know. That's amazing. A lot of hard work. Thank you, Gabe. Number 7B, review and accept working waterfront preliminary engineering report.
Elizabeth, does Kevin have permission to screen share or to give him
I
co-host
think I can.
or if he doesn't?
Make a co-host.
Hi, everyone. Looks like I can share.
Is that? Oh,
I think it's out of the TV.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
just gonna turn up the volume a little bit so we can hear you a little bit better.
Yep. You can hear me.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
great, thank you.
Thanks.
Kevin, before you start,
Am I in the way?
I know your presentation's 12 minutes. Pam is giving you 10 minutes. She might give you that extra 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because of how long your presentation is, I'm just letting you know.
Kevin, I think it depends on how nice Brent is to me.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, if I get the hook, I'll know he hasn't been very nice.
I was gonna say, we just wasted 3 minutes, so.
before Kevin dives into sharing the preliminary engineering report, just to give a really quick context of what this is and why it was undertaken and how, we were part of a study in 2019 that looked at the vulnerability of working waterfront infrastructure. At the time, the town decided to look at what was considered town property, which is the crib work and wave attenuator, which is the old ferry pen right next to the existing pen and dolphins, and it's, you know, what the piece of the town wharf down there, or the floats down there is attached to. So we found out through that study at the time that was in disrepair and was going to need significant replacement within like a 10-year time frame. And so we took advantage of a shore and harbor planning grant to help cover the cost of doing a preliminary engineering report for that infrastructure. In order to be able to go after construction funding, we needed to have a preliminary engineering report to get to that next step. So we decided to take advantage of the shore and harbor and were able to work with Woodard and Curran and Kevin Trainer specifically to develop the preliminary engineering report. We worked with the Sea Level Rise Committee, with Jim, and with Pete, and Millie was part of those conversations, and then we did talk with fishermen as well. And anyway, so we have this final product, the preliminary engineering report. So that was probably more than 3 minutes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Like 5.5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That doesn't have our,
Yeah, that was my
that's
time.
Gabe's
I
time.
just wanted to provide context of what this is and why we did it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
You can put my screen.
Yes.
All right. Yep. Thank you for the background, Gabe. You mentioned I'm Kevin Trainer. I'm a senior technical manager with your civil engineer with focus in hydraulics modeling. And I'll talk about provide a summary of the preliminary engineering report. Brief agenda. I'll talk a little bit about the site background, just a couple of pictures to go with what Gabe just described. Then the project goals. Spend a few minutes on the structural inspection results, briefly touch on the hydrologic and hydraulic analysis results, and then some of the project constraints, and then focus on the alternatives analysis, permitting pathway, and then the next steps. So as Dave mentioned, it is the remainder of the previous ferry terminal, which was constructed circa 1958. Project components are the pier here, the floating dock, and the gangway. And then what we're really going to focus on is this wave attenuator, which is really a system with a number of components, including 6 dolphins. 1 is concrete. The other 5 are timber with quarry stone or riprap filling them. And that is basically what is commonly referred to as the crib work, but I'm going to try and keep the dolphins and then the other components being the wave screens a little bit separate. For the wave screens, there are 2 of them. They connect dolphin 1 and 2, and then 2 down to dolphin 6. Project goals were to assess the condition of the existing cribbing, perform that hydrologic and hydraulic analysis to establish wave conditions for future design, then evaluate the alternatives for rehabilitation or replacement, and then recommend a course of action. The structural inspection was performed by Childs Engineering as a sub-2 recurring. They did a visual inspection of the structure, non-destructive testing, compliant with ASCE standards, and the condition of all of the elements are rated from good to critical, with critical being the worst. The worst condition items, kind of both the dolphins and the wave screens, were in the poor to serious condition, which is described as advanced deterioration or overstressing in widespread portions, with either some reduction in structural capacity or significantly affected the load-bearing capacity of primary structural components with local failures. With that in mind, the findings with respect to the dolphins are that they are in satisfactory to poor condition with timber section loss due to marine borers. So when I say section loss, imagine that as cross-section loss. You had a timber that started out 12 inches by 12 inches and is now only 6 inches by 6 inches. That's what that is referring to. And then also the loss of stone fill due to settling or the section loss of the timbers down below the water line. And then all of these timber dolphins are fastened with metal hardware, basically, which has corroded significantly and is deteriorating along with kind of the rest of the structure. Then the wave screens connect dolphin 2 and then go on down to dolphin 6. You know, only see up to 3 here, 4, 5, and 6 being behind in this picture. Wave screens are in satisfactory to serious condition, again with of the rub strips, which are these boards, vertical boards here, and then bracing members are either missing or have severe dry rot being above the water line, and then the marine borer damage being below. Conclusions of the structural inspection, which was performed by divers. So we had a number of photos, and they looked very closely at the underwater conditions. But essentially that the anticipated life is less than 10 years from the time of the inspection. Further, they recommended continuing to inspect every 4 years, as long as the structures are standing, and then removing to prevent failure that could impact the ferry terminal. So imagine if one or more of these structures failed, it would not only no longer be providing the wave screening service that it currently is, but it could fail in a way that either sends riprap or sends timbers into the existing ferry berth, which would not be good. Just a couple of constraints. Anybody who's gotten off the ferry knows how close these things are together. The Dolphin 5 of the existing ferry terminal is only about 6 feet away from Dolphin 6 of the wave attenuator. And then this is a cross section from the design plans for the existing existing ferry terminal that shows that the piles that the existing terminal dolphins are on are driven at an angle or battered. And so they get even closer to the wave attenuator as they go down. So it's really even less than this spacing. And then 2 other considerations. This figure on the left is just showing the range of water levels, mean lower low water being down here, and then the still water elevation. So basically the water level that contains or includes storm surge and tides, but not wave impacts. Those are these water levels. Those are here. And so really any system is going to have to be functional or at least structurally capable of withstanding this range of water levels. So it's a pretty significant range. And then another footprint constraint, this figure, the text is awfully small, but this solid line here, Army Corps of Engineers project limit for dredging on the upper right side of that line. And then this dashed line is offset limit. And it is not really advisable to place anything permanent within that offset limit. And so it's just another constraint kind of limiting the space available for any sort of rehabilitation or replacement project. I'll just talk about this for a moment, but the hydrologic and hydraulic analysis consisted of a hydrodynamic model that builds basically wave conditions from a mile or two the flood insurance study conditions, also the wave buoy data from the Gulf of Maine, and basically established waves at this boundary and let them propagate in towards the project location and the downtown, and to understand basically what during all of these events representing the present day condition as well as a future condition, what the wave height and wave period would be for those events to use as a basis of design. Now, onto the alternatives. We evaluated alternatives based on 4 criteria. The ability to provide wave screening is foremost among them, given what the current structure is doing, but then also resilience to sea level rise, footprint that I mentioned, which is really limiting. Basically, how much space does an alternative take up versus how much space is available, and would it render that space useless, or could it still be used for dinghy tie-up or other purposes? And then the potential impact on adjacent infrastructure, as I mentioned, the ferry terminal, existing ferry berth is very slow. We looked at 5 alternatives, and I'll show a figure of each of them, but those alternatives include building. So alternative 1 is a rehabilitation alternative. Alternatives 2 through 5 are really demolition of the existing dolphins and wave screens, and then a replacement. So alternative 2 is a rubble mound breakwater. Alternative 3, precast concrete panel wave screen. Alternative 4 is a floating wave attenuator. And then the final alternative is a vertical wall breakwater. And just a couple of additional photos here of wave screen. Dry land that is above the water line. All right, alternative 1. The encapsulation would involve driving steel sheet piles in a circle around each of the existing dolphins, and then filling the gap with crushed stone, and then placing a concrete cap over it, so that it basically stabilizes what's there and kind of prohibits further deterioration and settling. But you can see here we're getting even closer to the ferry terminal, so that there's an access and footprint challenge with this alternative. Second alternative is the rubble mound, basically a big pile of riprap or quarry stone. Very effective at wave attenuation, but it takes up an awful lot of space. So the recommended slope for a rubble mound breakwater is 2 to 1, so 2 feet horizontal for every foot vertically, which means doing that in each direction for every foot of height, there's 4 feet of width. So it gets very wide very quickly, starting from a depth of approximately 10 to 15 feet, and then going up to the height, like the design water level would be something on the order of 90 feet wide. So as you can see in this figure, getting very close to the ferry terminal, and is not really useful space for docking or and useful for docking and also is hinging on that. Alternative 2 is a precast concrete panel wave screen. So this alternative in section view here shows a pile supported system. So steel piles driven vertically and at an angle to support a precast concrete panel in between. And the plan view, kind of overhead view, the dashed lines are the existing dolphins that would be demolished. And then the wave screen would be staggered like this to try to reduce the potential for to reflect. Onto alternative 4, the floating wave attenuator, which essentially is a large precast concrete dock that attenuates waves coming, say, from the left here, simply through the mass of the dock, but also through anchors and chains that basically help resist the movement of the dock that knocks down wave energy on the inside. And the docks would float up and down, similar to a typical floating dock system. But again, the required length of span for the range of depth that we're working with here would actually require that these anchor blocks be on the opposite side of the ferry terminal. And it's shown here to essentially keep the figure on a single sheet, but these would need to be on the other side of the ferry terminal. So there would be a chain going through the ferry berth, which slightly. And then lastly, alternative 5 is a vertical wall breakwater, where in this case, there's a continuous wall, precast concrete panels, again with steel piles driven at an angle and vertically to brace the wall. And in this case, one value adder for this alternative is that we could build a timber concrete platform on top of the wall on one side and the piles on the other side to the handrail. And this could be space that's accessible to pedestrians or this additional kind of water access. So that is definitely an added component to this alternative. Now, this table, I want to focus on the comparison of the alternatives. So really the column to the left here, and then the column to the right, which is feasibility of each alternative. So that encapsulation of existing dolphins, alternative 1, while potentially effective, has a large footprint and is not feasible due to that lack of accessibility and the proximity to the existing ferry terminal. Alternative 2, the rubble mound breakwaters, you recall, very large footprint, and again, not feasible due to the available area and the fact that it would basically eliminate dock space. Alternative 3, the precast concrete wave screen, is an effective measure. Footprint is comparable to the existing wave screen and likely has a comparable impact on the existing ferry terminal from a wave reflection standpoint, and therefore it's feasible, and we have it highlighted because that is the recommended alternative. Alternative 4, the floating wave attenuator, again, not feasible due to impact to the ferry for the anchor and the space that's required to operate in the tidal range. And then the vertical wall breakwater, alternative 5, effective, a comparable footprint. One consideration being the possible reflection of wave energy that would need to be. So of the 5 that were evaluated, 2 are feasible. Then alternative, cost estimates for each alternative, and I'm going to focus on alternatives 3 and 5 as those were the feasible alternatives. With alternative 3, precast concrete wave screen being approximately $3.7 million for the total cost, including demolition, construction, contingency, field work and engineering design and permitting. And then alternative 5 for all of the same items. An estimated project cost. From permitting standpoint, all the alternatives likely have similar requirements. Federal Army Corps of Engineers individual permit, likely not qualifying for a general permit. Then 2 permits or avenues of coordination with the state from a permitting perspective, being the submerged lands lease or easement through Bureau of Parks and Lands, and then the Department of Environmental Protection would require a Natural Resources Protection Act permit, again, likely an individual permit. And again, those are individual permits due to the nature of the impact of the water, and essentially all projects, all of these alternatives would have in common, even though some have much larger footprints than others. All right, last slide, I promise. The next steps from where we stand now would be accepting the preliminary engineering report, and then choosing a preferred alternative to move forward with confirming the ownership or submerged land lease status, and then finally advancing, or I suppose not finally, but advancing field investigation, permitting, and final design before being able to move on to construction. And that would involve Department of Transportation coordination, certainly, given the proximity to the ferry terminal, and then hydrographic survey and geotechnical subsurface investigation. All right, I'm sure that I'm over 12 minutes, but I'm all done, and I'll hand it back to Rachel.
You do know that I was joking, right?
Thank you, Kevin.
I know.
That was great, Kevin. Thank you very much.
I think we just want to sort of state where this stands sort of in the real world right now, which is in some investigations for the boat ramps regarding submerged land lease, we began to explore the submerged land lease for the crib work and the dolphins and the attenuator, and discovered that there actually isn't any document clearly stating that the town owns that infrastructure. So Marjorie's been in communication with MDOT to kind of figure all that out. We, assuming you adopt or accept the preliminary engineering report as it is, we want to give that to MDOT so we can have conversations with them about what they're thinking for that area, because they've mentioned possibly wanting to leave that area open for future whatever. We don't know what they're looking at or what they're exploring, but also just to think about that might open up some different conversations as to maybe does the town even need to own that infrastructure, which would negate us having to spend millions of dollars to improve it. It doesn't change the fact that it needs to be repaired. And also, you know, we want to ensure that we continue to have tie-up space there and are able to have the float, but we also were hoping to be able to increase the amount of float space there as well. So anyway, I don't know if there's any more to say about it now, but that's just kind of where it stands.
I mean, when the new pen was built, we had a memorandum of understanding, but there was never, after that was negotiated, and they said, well, we'll build you a ramp and gangway and the floats, but now those are going, that infrastructure, including the crib work, is going to be the town's responsibility. And then there was supposed to be a next step in terms of actually deeding that property to us, but that was never done. So we're still, I check in with Maine DOT every couple of weeks, and they just keep telling me that it's with their legal department. So I don't really know where that stands right now. So
I
We'll
think,
see.
yeah, and our hope is that we can have these conversations with DOT now because we have an opportunity for up to $2 million in funding that's coming early next year, specifically for working waterfront infrastructure, and we're well positioned to get that funding if we want to apply. But you know, we're not gonna apply for something that we don't own. But so we're trying to get an answer to that, and also just figure like working in cooperation with them, we might be able to learn some new information that impacts a decision around, you know, the alternative that's chosen. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's kind of where things stand.
Okay, so let me get my note here. I'd make a motion to accept the working waterfront preliminary engineering report as presented. All in favor?
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for
Thanks,
joining.
everyone.
Have a good
Have a good
evening.
Thank you. So that is good. Done. 7C, Parks Commission request for a grant playground equipment. Sarah? Do you want to stand up, Sarah, so we can hear you?
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of Parks Commission. We found a grant, that is awarded up to $50,000. It's due tonight at midnight. And I was unaware that I had to get, permission for you guys. I thought that it was underneath when we came last time and talked. But, so I'm here to get permission to apply for that. And I can answer any questions about it, but it's okay.
Questions?
Is it straight up grant or is it matching
Straight
funds?
up grant, we would be awarded it, if we were awarded it by end of November. The project would have to be completed by the end of 2026.
Marjorie?
Well, and I'm sorry, I don't always, I always seem to be the negative person in things like this, but normally we would have a copy of the application so that you could review it. It's certainly up to you if you want to approve it without seeing it. I don't have any idea what the application looks like, who the application comes from, so I don't know. It wasn't presented to us so that I could present it to the board.
Sarah?
And I'm sorry about that, I was unknown to me that was a process I had to go through.
Do you have a copy with you?
I have a very rough draft of it, where it's online, it's not really easily printable, but this is just like a rough copy. Do you want it for, does it matter?
Just pass it around.
And who's sponsoring the grant?
It's T-Mobile hometown grant, it's through the Main Street, organization.
And this would cover the
It would cover,
99% of the rest of the project?
It would have to cover 100%.
it will cover 100%.
Exactly.
The budget we got was 48,000, and that covers 50.
What was the town near Belfast that just did the same grant and actually, they actually got a playground as well with their grant?
Marjorie?
No,
Searsmont.
Searsmont. I'm just wondering how the select board have already approved spending,
Right.
I think it was $18,000. I don't have the amount
It was
exactly.
19
but-
and some change, I believe.
We've already approved taking that amount out of the parks reserve funds, and we've already paid, that was for 2 slides, and we've already paid for half of that. So I'm not clear, and I'm the treasurer, I have to deal with the actual nitty-gritty of the financing of these things. So how will that, I want to know how that will work. I mean, is that order, we already ordered 2 slides and paid for half of them, so I'd like to understand how that's going to work.
Yeah, so that was the deposit for the 2 slides, the 9,000 that was sent.
Margaret, you wanna see that?
Margaret, it's also in your email that I sent today. The full grant is in your email.
I'm sorry, so is the town applying
It
or,
would be town, yes, under the Parks Commission. That's like my easily readable copy. Should have brought the whole thing, but.
okay, this says all fundraising, grant management, and implementation is handled by the celebration committee. I have a problem.
That was my own, note on there. That's not through the. That's not the actual grant. I emailed you the grant application today. And
I
Lizzie
apologize, I
actually-
just, you know, without seeing the grant application and what the town's actual responsibilities are, I'm a little concerned. I mean, if I'm gonna be responsible for managing the grant, receiving the money and spending the money, then I wanna know what I'm gonna be responsible for. And this doesn't really
Lizzie,
tell me
do you have
anything.
pictures of the?
But it's up to you, I mean, if you wanna
shared
authorize
that.
it, it's really up to the board. I'm troubled by the lack of information. Did you wanna look at
Is that
this?
something, oh, something.
You've got this, that's like the basic FAQs.
Didn't it say in the application that the award would be, the money would be awarded to the town, but would go into the Parks Committee account for the use of revitalizing the playground?
It depends on, I guess, if the Parks Commission is the one applying for the grant, yes. It would be. I have the full thing
To the
here.
board.
I mean, if they're gonna give us, if they award it, and they're gonna give us $50,000, then it seems like we need to be reimbursed for what we've already spent, or,
It depends on the scope of the grant.
There's no reimbursement for the grant. That's, yeah, that would have to either just go towards more equipment or groundwork.
So there's gonna be a significant amount of groundwork after all the rubber is laid down around the different things, set and so on.
Dan?
It does seem like free money.
Yeah,
And if the deadline really is what she says it is,
yeah, so the next,
it might be
grant-
worth,
Okay, excuse me, he's speaking.
bending over a little bit to make it happen if it's really is free money.
Okay,
maybe, we can hear when the next grant cycle is if we don't make it tonight.
October 1st. And then you would have to submit by December 30th. And you would receive the money by February if you were awarded.
so if you'll meet the deadline tonight, you have another opportunity.
For next year. Yeah.
Then I mean,
costs a year and a
it's
couple
still-
Well,
months.
so you get the money in February, you assume.
Not this February, we get the money,
Yes,
So-
if we applied again in October, we would receive the money if we were awarded in February, if we didn't do this deadline. And then you have a year to complete the project.
Gotcha. So we've got a little bit of time to get more information on the grant and.
I mean, there's no guarantee we're gonna get the money.
Right.
Well, my thought is, the money, the award will be announced on the 30th of November,
Yeah.
approximately,
Yeah, by then.
and the money would be awarded the 1st of December, correct? And if we got the money, then we could move forward and, order the playground equipment that you picked out. And, you know, with some deletions, you know, some
Yeah.
things won't be included. With that being said, if we don't get the money, I would strongly recommend, as I said in my email, that we continue on to get the 2 slides and ask the celebration committee to help buy a new swing set.
If we can fund for it, if we can get the funds for it.
If they can come up with $10,000, they said have said they would have that money available in December, so that we would at least have the slides and a swing set to come in the spring. And then the rest of the equipment, we would have to just see how fundraising goes and what money the parks ends up with in the spring or after the fundraising that the celebration committee intends to do. That, to me, would be the best way to go about it if this grant does fall through. Does that make sense?
I think it can't hurt to apply.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. If the grant is sent in and the money doesn't come through, then that is the next alternative that I would recommend.
Does the celebration committee have 10 grand?
As chair of the Parks Commission, we've talked about this at length, well, kind of, it gets kind of confusing sometimes. Millie, you said that the celebration committee would probably,
I mean, we're gonna work for this playground regardless of what happens, but
so if we asked you to buy a swing set,
it would have to go to the
chances are, right. But in the meantime, we would at least have, if we didn't get the swing set, at least we would have the slides.
The slide's already bought, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but we would just have to order them. And the issue that apparently is part of this is that every time you have to order something, the installation, the cost goes up because you have to pay each time for shipping and installation. But which is, yes,
So our idea was to do it all at once, so we pay one shipping and installation fee.
but if we do not have the
Yeah,
amount in December to pay for that, then we're gonna have to wait. Okay,
I was just explaining that.
yeah. Millie?
I was just gonna say, it is a cost savings, obviously, to do it all at once if we can. Also, in January, tariffs come in, and it's expected that this equipment will go up. But
Probably. But if somebody would like to go to the celebration committee and make a donation to the playground,
we'll accept all donations.
exactly. Right.
I just wonder if we'd circle back the question at hand of, are we gonna allow them to apply for the grant?
Right. If everybody's satisfied with what they've heard, you wanna take a,
Make a motion.
you wanna
Yeah.
vote now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we, hold on, just to make sure I get this. A motion to give permission, oops, no, I didn't have that one.
No, because that was a late addition.
That's right. A motion to have the Parks Commission apply for this, what's the name of the grant again?
T-Mobile hometown grant.
So moved. Second.
Second?
All in favor? Well, you better get on it.
Oh, I can hit the button right now.
Oh, that was it.
And, you know, if there are any issues, you don't have to accept the money. You can always say, oh, gee, we've made a terrible mistake. We don't want the money.
Right, I mean, if they want to award us the money and there's something wonky in there, we don't have to accept it. So there is that to fall back on,
If we even get the money.
even if we even get the money.
Okay.
So,
Is everybody all set with that one? Any more questions on that? We're gonna move on to, oh, I'm sorry. What? Yes?
I was just gonna go to Amy instead of parking tickets.
Yeah.
And just skip that and we'll do it.
Whatever you want.
Please?
If she wants to present now, we'll move along to 9, new business. A, Fox Island Wind Solar Array Study.
Thank you for allowing me to come before the select board tonight. I'm Amy Turner. I'm the CEO of Fox Islands Wind, so I'm here in that capacity this evening. We have a very limited request for access to do non-invasive environmental and engineering reviews and also look at the capped landfill engineering plan that was done. Fox Islands Wind is receiving a New Era grant and loan opportunity, $14.5 million. We had the town vote for the portion of repowering the wind farm. There's also $2.5 million, 25%, which is grant, 2%, which is, the rest of it, 75% added 2% loan, is for a small scale, utility scale solar array. And this is because we need to fill a generation gap in our summertime when we have a high population, but we have low wind generation. We have these great turbines that run really well about 10 months of the year, but when we have that high population in the summertime, we need something to fill that gap. So Fox Islands Wind is looking for essentially a strategic project putting together between wind, battery, and a utility scale solar about 1 to 2 megawatts. And to do this, we're starting the process by reviewing the capped landfills on both North Haven and Vinalhaven Island. We're looking for a site that has minimal environmental impacts. We really don't want to clear areas that could be conserved, vacant lots. So looking at already disturbed property, capped landfills, brownfield sites, that really is ideal because that surface area can't really be used for anything else. Maine has specific regulations for solar arrays on capped landfills. They have to maintain the integrity of the landfill and meet certain engineering standards. At this time, we just don't know yet which landfill would be ideal, how much solar can really go on it. We've done some high conceptual look at it. What we really need to do is we need to do an environmental and engineering analysis and also look at the plans. Now, this is non-invasive, so it would be visiting the capped landfill, taking some pictures, maybe some perimeter measurements, but that's it. It wouldn't be touching it, changing it, or anything like that. And we're just looking for access permission right now. There's a lot of unanswered questions that we actually just don't know. Like, what site is the best one to do this solar array on? What would that look like? How would that access agreement with the town be organized? What I do know right now is that this is a project that's funded by Fox Islands Wind. It's no cost to the town. We're just looking for access and permission to find out the details and see if there's any possibility. So I did meet with North Haven last week as well. Their capped landfill is a little smaller, but we are going to look at that as well. We'd like really to review both of them this fall if possible.
Okay, great, thank you. So I would make a motion to give permission to Fox Island Electric and Fox Islands Wind to access the Vinalhaven capped landfill to perform non-invasive engineering and environmental analysis to evaluate the site's suitability and capacity for a solar array.
Second.
All in favor? You're welcome. Thank you. We'll go back up to 8, old business parking tickets.
I guess this was just a price, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a price
this was
difference.
just to bring this back around. You had approved the parking tickets. We had the original estimate from Adventure Advertising. I think we talked about this, it's like a 3-part lobster slip. They were $450 for 1,000. We did get the like the scan, I think it's in your packet from, that's like Rockland's tickets. They're bright, the envelope's orange. Which is a 2-part slip with the envelope, and then this, do I have it? That thing there.
That thing there?
That thing there
Okay.
would be like the manila part that wraps around it. It's just got like some abbreviations and generic stuff on it. That was, the generic imprinted wraparound cover, $3,296 for 1,000, and the blank wraparound cover for 2,719. So I know, bringing it back to you to just clarify what you want to do.
The cheapest one is.
Yeah, let's start with the cheapest one since this is just an
It
experiment.
shouldn't be this much of an impact anyway, so we're just as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
So just consensus to proceed with Adventure Advertising? Okay.
Yep.
If we have to, yes.
We'll see how it goes. When are we gonna start issuing parking tickets? When will we begin issuing? So if they come this week, you will be on duty?
Me and the police,
Okay.
yes.
Just checking. Thank you.
I got a copy, we can use yours.
9, new business, adopt general assistant ordinance is presented. And I make a motion that we adopt the general assistance ordinance appendices as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. 10, report of town manager.
I was gonna go over a couple of things. I'm part of this LD 841 Island EMS work group, and we had our first meeting. It was a result of some of the legislation that came out about ferry service. This legislation in particular identified emergency medical services on the islands and requested a study be done. So there's a group of us that are getting together to look at that and issue a report, and we're just getting started. Our next meeting is in October.
I forgot to look and see if P is on the P. Thank you.
I did get some information at the last Ferry Advisory Board meeting. The new boat, the George Mitchell, is on hold. As you may or may not know, the bids that came in were twice as much as the money that DOT had to spend on a new boat. But the Dinsmore is progressing. They've started sea trials and they expect mid-October arrival, but as we all know, if they say mid-October, it probably means
What's
January.
What year?
Yeah,
I've been saying it for 2 years.
thank you.
They had reported that this Sphere was gonna be pulled out, but I think that's been delayed until the end of October now. It was gonna be pulled out actually today. And we were gonna get the Henry Lee, so we would have had the Henry Lee and the Thompson as our boats, but now that, as I understand it right now, that's been delayed until the end of October. If any of you want any more information from the Ferry Advisory Board meeting, I do get statistics on the number of runs and all kinds of good information like that. There was a request from the Ferry Advisory Board to ask the different boards of selectmen. I don't know if you remember that when we were going through all those legislative actions about the ferry service, there was a white paper that was issued by Commissioner Van Note. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to read it.
Did you email it to us, didn't you? Did you email it to us?
Yeah, and one of the proposals by Commissioner Van Note, the Department of Transportation, was, I think he was basically saying, if you don't like the way that we're running the ferry service, then why don't you start your own port authority? So, the question that the advisory board, Dennis Damon is the chair now, he was saying, well, I'd like you to take that proposal back to your boards and see if there's any interest at all in, for instance, the towns that are served by the Main State Ferry Service starting a port authority.
Are we gonna start growing money trees out there?
I was asked to bring it to the board and ask if there was any interest at all.
I would recommend to you to go in response, just tell him no, thank you.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
You guys think the vote on that?
I think it would be the consensus of the board and everybody here.
Everybody out there?
Anyway.
Marjorie, do they have minutes? Do they send out minutes from
Oh,
those?
sure.
Could you send them to us?
Oh, sure.
I'd like to read them, thank you.
Good bedtime reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This isn't yours?
No.
I mean, in theory, a port authority would be
Oh, they've been ready.
great.
Used to have one
because
years ago.
We would be able to
He's
do
got-
it ourselves, but
Got the engineering mind for it.
He's got enough-
Pay for it.
billions and
He's
billions
got
of
enough on
dollars.
his plate, that's good.
Marjorie, do you have anything further?
No, thank you. We have an executive session.
Right.
Um,
Okay. Number 11, report of members. Peyton?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did have one more thing. We did
Thank
get.
you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
Miss.
fine.
We did get the preliminary 2026 state valuation and our new ratio.
Oh, right.
So our, the state valuation is going up to 799 million from 700, and our ratio is down to 76. It was 85 last year. What that means is that when you look at our sales of properties, that our properties are selling for a lot more than we have them valued at, which means, I mean, we've talked about that we need to have a revaluation. So we may want to increase the amount of money that we're putting away for our revaluation to maybe speed up that process. It impacts us because if our valuation is higher, then we'll pay a higher percentage, for instance, with county tax. Now, I have no way of knowing how much more, because those things are calculated when the county budget is calculated, but it impacts us in those ways, that we'll be paying more of a percentage. And it's not good that our ratio is down to 76%. So in other words, overall, our properties are valued at 76% of market value. So anyway, I wanted to report that.
Does that also affect why the homestead exemption goes down?
Exactly, that's a good point, yeah. So we won't get, people will not receive 100% homestead. And I can't remember what the homestead, is it 25?
It's 25,000 and it's down to 23,500
So
this year.
that will be reduced, so that will affect people's property taxes as well. Thank you.
Okay. Number 12, executive session. We'll go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRS Section 405, parentheses 6, parentheses A, to discuss a personnel matter. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, as always.
You do such a good job every time.